Hi, I'm Linda Anderson, and I just want to talk to those that perhaps did not plan in advance of a crisis. Just to know that there is a way. It's never too late to actually start the planning process. So when I think about the people that are the most vulnerable that come in, it's often a time when somebody has just had an acute event, or perhaps they've been on a downward slide, but have now actually been hospitalized with the realization that this is not going to be a time when they're returning to home, but actually, in fact, needing the highest level of care at a skilled nursing facility. When you're actually trying to react to that type of crisis, for many of our clients, immediately understanding how Medicaid will apply to their situation becomes critical information. And Medicaid serves as a safety net for many of our middle class people and upper middle class, and not just those that are already financially qualified. It's important to know that the Medicaid rules provide what are called spousal impoverishment rules, so that the healthier spouse, the community spouse, should not be expected to be vulnerable. And in fact, in 2006, when the Medicaid rules were updated, it made clear that there are very specific paths forward in terms of protecting resources for the community spouse. An example of that would be perhaps if a husband is in a skilled nursing facility and is not there just for a Medicare rehab stay, but is going to be staying there long term. The idea is to understand that under Medicaid, there are many exempt assets that will never be touched. And those assets can include the primary residence, it can include the retirement qualified accounts of the healthier spouse. But not only that, there are important calculations that are done when in that case, the husband entered the skilled nursing facility to allocate the assets to the community spouse and determine the amount that must be spent down or dealt with before Medicaid will actually be triggered and then begin to cover the nursing home bill every month. What's important to realize is that the rules that were changed in 2006 allow for sophisticated annuity planning that absolutely will maintain the community spouse with an income stream that should allow her to remain in her home with the resources that she had before the crisis happened. For those that are single people, there's always a political question. Is it right to actually undertake Medicaid planning? Should you actually accelerate when Medicaid will pick up the bill? And what I would say to that is that Medicaid planning, like other types of tax planning or income tax planning, is a way of understanding the rules and understanding the approaches that are available if you choose to do Medicaid planning. And when we do assist families with Medicaid planning, we often find that in fact no one is worried about trying to maintain an inheritance, but in fact are deeply concerned that when their loved one is on Medicaid, that the $2,000 that they have as resources or the $45 a month of income that they have is simply not going to be enough if they want additional therapy, if they want perhaps things that will affect the quality of life, like a cell phone, a particular jerry chair, or additional clothing from season to season. Those are the types of things that are absolutely possible with Medicaid planning if it's done in advance and the family decides to use the protected resources in that way. It's never too late to begin the plan. And so even for those of you that do not have estate planning documents in place, what we find is that the very first thing we'll do is actually help those surrogate decision makers get the documentation they need to be not only legally empowered to make decisions, but also protected so that they will not become individually liable. This is the kind of planning that you need to do as soon as you can. If you need further information, please feel free to call our office.